Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got another absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. And I tell you, what we're going to talk about today is the future is now. And what I mean by that is we have generations and generations to come after us that are the future of the world, also the future of leadership for tomorrow. And we have to make sure that we pass our experiences and mentor and do all we can to make sure that the future generations to lead are prepared for the challenges. And I got this young man on the show today. Yeah, I tell you, you might want to sit back and grab you about 8, 9 bags of popcorn because it's not the movies, but it's this is how it works when you are reaching out and striving to be successful and you got the right mindset in order to reach out and be the best that you can be, you have to take advantage of that. And I believe that we have a lot of young adults that's high school, college, and just already graduated and doing certain things. But it takes a special person to dig deep down inside and know what they want and have the perseverance and the drive to go for it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the future is now and the leaders that are going to be our leaders of tomorrow. And let me tell you a little bit about the purpose of today's show. You know, we have this absolutely fantastic guest, Kevin Brown. He is a senior and graduating this year, actually in a couple of months. From San Marcos, University of Cal State San Marcos. And I'm gonna let him tell you a whole lot about him and the things that he is doing. And I tell you, so today's show, the purpose is to have a sit down conversation with Kevin Brown Jr., undergraduate, earning a bachelor's degree in science and molecules and cellular biology at San State, Cal State San Marcos. He has an educational background and future goals that is going to tell us about. Diversity in science and medicines and what that actually means. He's going to discuss all of that from his perspective and the importance of encouraging our youth and the young adults. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the future of science and education. So let me tell you a little bit about this young man. Kevin Brown Jr. is currently an undergraduate student earning his bachelor's degree in molecular and cellular biology at Cal State San Marcos. He has studied both intro and international doing neuroscience research at the Scripps Research Institution in San Diego and also at Champalaya Center. He'll tell us a little bit more about that one in Portugal. He is a rising star, I tell you, and he was one of four to be selected from this esteemed award that we are going to talk about. And I tell you what, without any further ado, why don't we bring this young man to the stage? How you doing? How you doing, Kevin? How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Dr. James? How are you?
Man, I'm absolutely excited to be in your presence. A young man that's striving to be the best that he can be, and also to enlighten others to do the same. It's an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Kevin, can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up at, and what makes you click, and why you're so passionate about the things that you're doing, especially when it comes to education?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, let me just thank you, first and foremost, for this platform, having me on here. It's an honor of mine, and I also want to thank you for the things you've done and the service that you've committed to this country. The 23 years of service in the military. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's appreciated. what you've been able to do. So first and foremost, thank you for that.
So tell our viewers where you grew up and what made you click. What made you lock into the medical and science arena.
Yeah,
I mean, it was something that you was growing up and your parents guided you
absolutely.
that way, or you just figured that one out yourself.
No, I had to actually figure that one out myself. Particularly, I hadn't experienced a medical condition of my own. I was having heart problems and a medical condition called ventricular tachycardia, which is actually an arrhythmia of the heart that is sometimes fatal. And so I actually suffered with that throughout my childhood and playing sports and things. I thought I was just out of shape. I was trying to run more and get more conditioned, but what I ended up finding out was I had a rather fatal condition. And I actually had heart surgery when I was 14 or 15 at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital. And the surgeon there did an incredible job of explaining to me my condition, what he planned to do for my surgery, and he made it make sense to me. And that explanation truly planted a seed in my mind and in my heart that made me curious about science and medicine. And so I left that hospital with a sense of curiosity about what it meant to be a scientist and a doctor. And so I just followed that path, and here we are.
Wow. I mean, you have won so many awards already. And one of the one I'm intrigued about, I want you to tell our viewers and our listeners about the national award that you just got selected for. There
Yeah.
are, I don't know how many are pool probably hundreds. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was recently selected for the fourth annual Rising Black Scientist Award. That's selected by Cell Press. That's a journal, science magazine. That if I had to put it in terms and understandable terms, that Cell magazine is in science what Vogue magazine is in fashion. It is the pinnacle of our field, and so to be recognized and selected out of a pool of brilliant students again nationally, it's an honor for me to get that recognition, and for an entity like Cell to select me and be be accepting of the work that I've done, and proud enough to be associated with it. And so I appreciate the recognition, and I appreciate and I'm honored to be a part of a small cohort of four other brilliant students, or three other brilliant students, but four including myself, that have been selected, and I'm very, very happy about that. So yeah.
So where will you guys receive this award at?
Yeah, so we are actually located all over the country. So I'm here in Southern California. The other young woman that won it, Akorfa, she's at MIT. Jay was another young lady who won it as well. She's at Yale, and then Senegal, he's another young gentleman that won it, and he's at Cornell. So we're all kind of scattered all over the place. So we don't have a physical location where we accept this award, but we did receive the magazines where we are at the front of the magazines with our stories and our pictures and everything. And so that was kind of the recipient or the receiving moment of the award for us.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
You just mentioned before school's the cream of the crop. You know,
Yeah, they're brilliant students there that won it in amazing schools as well. So absolutely.
let me ask you something. Growing up, who were your role models? Because
Mm,
we all lock on somebody that kind of guide us and influence us to want to do the right things and want to be the best that we can be.
yeah,
And we have to pick and choose that role model carefully because that could lead us in a different direction.
absolutely.
Who was your role models growing up, and how did they influence you to uh, come up with the mindset that you have today?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I say this in all seriousness, and I know a lot of times this is cliche, but To be completely honest, my mother and my father were my two biggest role models in my life. And I think it's because they taught me the two most important lessons that I carry with myself today. Um, my father, he taught me the value of humility and kindness. Um, and if you don't mind, I can tell a short story as to why that's the case. I was maybe 3 or 4. I was too young to understand words and conversations, but I remember being with my father one day at the gas station, and he had me in his arms, and we walked into the little shop mart or whatever it was, and there's a lady at the desk, and I don't know why I remember all of this, but I do. And she had a ponytail and she had glasses and she looked kind of solemn. Like, I remember feeling like she looked quite sad. And my father, as he always did, greeted her with this big smile. How are you? You know, something in the likes of that. And I remember seeing how happy he was and how happy he greeted her without having to. But I understood how his positive kindness and humility lit her up, and she smiled, and there was a great conversation there. And I just remember feeling the energy when I was a child. And I remember that day for some reason, and that stuck with me, till this day. And every time I'm with my father, I see the kindness and humility he has to people that he doesn't know, the people that, whether they're CEOs of companies or the homeless man on the corner, he's always smiling and asking how you're doing, and making sure that he's paying respect. And so for me as a man, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been able to learn from him, is just that consistent kindness, that consistent humility, and making sure that people feel acknowledged and respected in your presence. And then my mother, she's the strongest person that I've ever known, and I think I'll ever know. And the reason that she's my role model is because she taught me how to love. And the reason I say that is because she lost her mother and her older sister in a span of 3 years from breast cancer. And her older sister was actually 35 at the time that she passed. And her mom was 69. They both passed from breast cancer. And I was about 4 to 7 in that range when they both passed. And the reason I say she taught me how to love was because she, even in the darkness of those feelings of losing her 2 best friends, even when she probably cried herself to sleep the night before, she didn't want to get up in the morning, she was struggling with life and figuring out what that meant to her, she would still wake up in the morning and sing to me and make my breakfast and take me to school and pick me up and take me to practice and come home and make dinner and love me like nothing changed, right? And it taught me a very important lesson, and that is to love unconditionally, love in the darkness, love in the mud.
Hold that thought.
Yeah,
This is so
absolutely.
important. We got to take a station break.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Let's take a break.
I want to come back. I want you to pick this up with your mother again.
Oh, yeah.
We get back. So, whichever
Absolutely.
platform that you're watching this on, was it E360 Television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, over 55 live platforms? If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to that platform, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. We'll be back with more Kevin Brown shortly after the commercial. It's your life. We'll see you then.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. one that keeps us close when we're apart. Walking from the darkness of all that we've been through, it seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again life of need.
Hello, welcome back to James Cooley Show. It's your life, and just first segment, getting an opportunity to know Kevin a little bit more. Just I was kind of touched with toward the end about the role models and his stories about his father and his mother, and I want him to finish the one with his mother because a lot of times that we experience tragedy or whatever that might mean, but we still have a family. We still have to take care of them. We still have to nourish them. We still have to show them love. And a lot of times we don't know that we're teaching them because they feel the pain that we're going through. And they once they notice and they these things, it kind of stick with them and it give them a sense of caring as well. And I believe that that's how you go about creating the mindset and your character and how uh, you're going to grow up and do things. So I want to pick it back up with that, kid, if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the thread that I was kind of following was that I was young enough to recognize that my mother was sad, but I wasn't old enough to recognize or understand what was happening, right? And so even in that recognition of the shift in her energy, the shift in her feelings and the way that she was interacting with the world, I could tell something wasn't right. But the one thing that didn't change was the way that she loved me. And so when I recognized that, I learned to grow in that space, and the lesson that it really truly taught me was that you ought to love the way that, like, in some real sense, it doesn't matter. The external factors don't necessarily matter when it comes to the way that you love people, right? And so when you're committed to loving somebody, whether that's your partner, whether that's a kid or a family member, whether that's a friend, regardless of the negative things, you got to love the same no matter what. So she taught me that, and I carry that with myself today.
Hey, man, that's a good lesson learned. Now, that's a good thing to carry. Let's switch to the science. Uh,
Let's do it.
can you tell our viewers and listeners what you love so much about science in general?
Mm. Yeah. Um, what I think what science allows me to do is it allows me to exercise my curiosity in ways that I never thought I could, right? Science is the process of peeking over the edge, right? It's exploring and jumping into the abyss of the unknown, and I find that quite fun. And so when I can do that while working with my hands, being intellectually creative, creating experiments and analyzing data, I know those things might sound nerdy or boring to most, but for me, it's really an exploration of the unknown, and that exhilaration, and that experience is, I think, what allows me to enjoy my time with science so much.
Is there any specific body of work that that you admire a little more than others as relate to science? And
Yeah, absolutely. I think specifically a specific scientist that I follow and um, that I had the pleasure of working in the same no, nerdy at all. Thank you. That I had the pleasure of working with the same in the same vicinity as is Dr. Ardem Patapushin. He just won a Nobel Prize in medicine recently for his discovery of these proteins called piezo 1 and piezo 2, and these proteins are associated with anything you can imagine when it comes to any type of bodily sensation, whether that's somatosensation, it's taste, touch, and literally anything. And so I just had the pleasure of working in the same building as him and watching his work, and then watching him win the Nobel Prize. It left a true impact on me, and the way that I appreciated his work and what he's done so far. And so, if there's a specific scientist and specific body of work that I appreciate, it's his.
your bio states that you have worked intro and also international. What type of experiences did you gain from both?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, here, my research here was in San Diego, and so I worked at the Scripps Research Institute in La Jolla, California, and that was a nice experience. It was a year long where I got to experience that regular science, but that was where I really grew as a scientist, right? It's really where I found myself, and developed the tools necessary to actually go and travel internationally over to Lisbon, Portugal, where I was able to spend a summer, an incredible summer there, doing research as well at one of their world-renowned neuroscience research centers called the Champalimaud Center of the Unknown. And my experience there was actually quite different, because the lab that I worked in was a neuroscience lab, but it was different than what I'd been used to studying. And so at the lab that I work at, primarily, I work with stem cells, and what we do is we turn those into neurons, and then we study Alzheimer's disease. But when I was in Portugal, what I was able to do was I went to a lab where we worked with mice, and we manipulated certain genes in the mice, and we analyzed and studied their ability to learn and remember things. And so we're looking at learning and memory in the cerebellum and things like that. And so I was on a totally different scale. So scientific experiences were great. And if you would like to hear about some life experiences as well overseas, I can share those with you as well.
Yeah, I'm curious about the stem cells, because a lot of
Mhm.
people hear the title. They if they're not in the medical field or
Mhm.
involved in it, they really don't know what that is. But
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is quickly becoming one of the evolving medical treatments out there.
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
explain to our viewers and listeners what is meant by stem cells, and how is that changing
Mhm.
many things in the medical field?
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, stem cells have had a rather unethical light to them in terms of where they're sourced from. But in recent technology, what we've been able to do is actually develop stem cells that aren't or that are ethically sourced. And so the stem cells that I personally worked with, we actually, the lab took blood from a human patient, and took the cells from that blood, and they were actually able to turn the cells from that blood into stem cells. And so that process actually allows us to, hopefully in the future, begin to individualize the way that we are approaching medicine. We currently have the system where we have a one size fits all approach to medicine where we have the same solution to a bunch of different diverse populations. And it's just not the way that it's not the optimal way that we can look at medicine. And so I think what stem cells now are doing is, as they're going through these clinical trials and they're getting trying to get approval, and we're doing more research with them, not only are we trying to make them more well known in modern medical practice, but we're trying to implement them in a way that allows us to individualize medicine. And so that, Dr. Cooley, I can maybe take your blood and extract your cells and create stem cells that have your genetic background and your genetic individual characteristics, right? And now we can run testing and we can look at things with your specific genetics, right? And that changes the one size fits all approach to medicine. And so hopefully through that, through those efforts, we can find a way to implement stem cells into modern medical practice in hopes of addressing some of the discrepancies that we currently have.
So what are some of the challenges? And I know you're just a student right now working with doctors. When you soon gonna be a doctor. But
Hopefully.
what are some of the challenges that you hear or doctors have mentioned?
Yeah.
As relate to stem cells, as relate to other experimental things that are going on. That the world or the scientists have to get a better handle on if they are to evolve this into modern medicine much quickly in the future.
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem, and again, like you said, I am a student, and so this is my naive approach and outlook on these things. But I would say, from what I'm seeing, the biggest problem and challenge that we have to overcome is getting FDA approval to put something new into the bodies of actual human beings. That's not an easy thing to do, right? And so what's happening is, in order to use stem cells, we have to put them in your body, right? And in order to do that, we have to go through FDA approvals and trials to be able to approve these a particular set of stem cells and procedure that allows us to do that safely and with high efficacy and efficiency. And so that's going to be the biggest challenge, is figuring out what's the best way to source these stem cells, because there's various different ways. There's human-induced pluripotent stem cells, which is what I work with, and I talked about human-induced being that they're induced from human cells. And there's a vast amount of other ways that you can source stem cells. So the first thing is finding an efficient source of those things, or efficient source of stem cells, and then figuring out the best approach and way to actually use them. And it'll look different for different things, right? Let's say orthopedic surgery and injuries where you tear your Achilles or you tear your tendons. That might look different than using it, to regenerate cardiomyocytes for the heart, because they're two different things, right? And so there's a lot of, it sounds like it's one dimensional from far away, but the intricacies are vast. And so those are some of the challenges that hopefully I can contribute to figuring out as I move forward in this field.
Man, you know what? You sound so intelligent, which you are, but it also shows that you're serious about what you're doing, to put that work in and to continue to get a better understanding of how we are going to shape the next generations and generations to come. And they need leaders like you. You will be the future leader of tomorrow. I'm going to clock you. I'm going to follow you. All my viewers and our listeners going to follow you. And because we know it's coming. But right now, we got to take a station break.
Let's do it. Let's take a station break.
If you're enjoying this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we're going to get it right. Remember, it's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
that road that you're taking's a dead end? What if love leaves you all jaded and broken? What if that limb breaks you're climbing out on? Yeah, what if it all goes wrong? But what if it all goes right? What if it all works out? What if the stars line up and good luck rains down? What if you chase your dream and it changes your whole life? Yeah, what if it all goes right? What if that road is a beautiful soul drive? What if that love ends up lasting a lifetime? What if that limb holds you oak tree strong? What if this time nothing goes wrong? What if it all goes right? What if it all works out? What if the stars line up and good luck rains down? What if you chase your dream and it changes your whole life? Yeah, what if it all goes right? What if you jump on a trampoline and touch the sky? Grab a cloud as it passes by. You might fall, but then again, you might fly.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, this young fella right here, I am looking forward to calling him doctor one day. Actually, probably already there. But you still got
A lot of work to do.
work. You got the work to do. But focus is key. Focus is key. Mindset is key. Can-do attitude. All of these things are so important to maintain your drive. And I don't see a lack of drive with Kip. He knows what he wants to do. And he is not going to let nothing get in the way. In the South, we say nothing. He ain't going to let nothing. You know? So proud of you, Kevin. And just want you to continue to dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do, and continue to push. I want to pick it back up. Who is mentoring you right now? Somebody in the medical field. I know we talked about mentor with growing up and creating mindset and personality.
Yeah.
What are you getting from your mentorship, and how are they encouraging you, letting you know that you chose them? out of thousands and thousands nationwide as one of the top 4 Black scientists. That's important for the viewers that don't know what that means. That's extremely important. And one thing, your school that you out of is a lot smaller than the other ones that you mentioned. That means you got some great professors over there. You got some great uh, doctors, and they have put you in touch, and you have put yourself in touch with the right folks. I want you to talk about that a little bit. Mentorship, focus being key, drive is, and if you know anything about me, drive.
Yeah,
I want to be the best that I can be at everything I do. Talk about that a little bit.
absolutely. Yeah, in the medical field specifically, I definitely have um, two main mentors. So one is Dr. Donald Golden. He's up at Stanford, and the other is Dr. James Hemp, and he's down at Scripps. And what Dr. Golden does is he just tells me the unfiltered truth, no matter what, all the time. And I think in mentorship, that's extremely important because he's not scared to tell me the bad truth, the good truth. Um, it doesn't matter. He's always just telling me the truth. And actually, it's funny. We were on the phone last night from I think like 10 p.m. to like 11:30, and we were just talking about what's happening, what's going on right now with me, with him, and all of these different things. And so I think specifically what mentorship does is it exposes you to the truth, but it also gives you invaluable experience that you haven't garnered yet. And that's, I think, what Dr. James Hemp does for me is he's a cardiothoracic surgeon at Scripps Mercy Hospital. And um, he's allowed me to shadow him in the operating room. And so there'll be times where I find myself 8 hours into a surgery, staring into the open chest of a live human being, watching Dr. Hemp do incredible surgical procedures on the heart, whether he's replacing a valve or he's doing a coronary artery bypass graft, and I get to watch that environment in those procedures, and again, just invaluable experience of exposing you to things that you wouldn't normally be exposed to had you not been connected. And so these mentors do a really good job at exposing me to a lot of the things that I wouldn't be exposed to, on my own.
Wow. You know what, man? And I would bet you that most seniors and undergrad do not get that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for a doctor to actually say, okay, I'm going to bring you in, I'm going to mentor you, I'm going to let you see this. I'm going to put you in a sterile suit, put you in all that sort of type of stuff. Because I believe that he sensed that you're going to be doing his job, what he's doing.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you see where I'm going with that?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
when you have these folks, doctors, whatever, experts in their arena, and if you're at Scripps, you are a top doctor.
Hmm.
So
Dr. Hemp is incredible.
incredible. Okay, Dr. Rachel McClaston just sent you a message. Can you see it?
Yeah,
On
absolutely. Yeah,
uh,
I was just able to read it.
why don't you read it out loud and answer as accordingly?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, Dr. McGlasson, thanks for the question. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, science is often seen as sterile and boring. So how can we change this, especially for young minds? Well,
What, hold on. Let me read it out loud to the audience,
yeah,
viewers.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You got it.
Dr. Rachel McClasson. Love your explanation of your relationship with science. Kevin, science is often seen as sterile and boring. How can we change this, especially for our young minds, building on your insights? That's deep.
Deep. It's a bar. Yeah, no, Dr. McGlasson, she's incredible. Well, I think science is what you make it, as is a lot of things in this life, right? You get in or you get out what you put in, right? And on this thread of mentors have a really big role in how you experience and grapple with the spaces that you're in. And so I think the way that we can create more intrigue in science is not to throw it at students uh, in school and expect them to appreciate and like it, but instead relate it to things that they actually go through in real life, just like anything else that a kid would want to learn. No one, if you're not interested in the way that DNA is replicated and or the way that it's transcribed into RNA and then into protein, and like no one, if you're not interested in it, then kids aren't going to grasp it. But if you can make it relatable to them, then maybe they can understand a little bit better. And then as they grow and they recognize the impact of science and what it has on the world and the way that science is innovation, right? Science is going to, in some real sense, create the world that they are going to be living in the future. Then they begin to recognize, okay, maybe this is interesting. And then you couple that with diversity and adding diverse people that look like these students in these spaces. And now you've got some real intrigue. And so I think you couple the relatability with allowing people that look like the students to be in the spaces that are important, and we might see some change.
Okay, you just mentioned a couple of things that I think that is so important: diversity, equity, inclusion, right?
Absolutely.
As it relate to, in this term, higher education, medical, uh, being a doctor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
How can we get society? I mean, I know you're young man, but in society right now, many organizations, higher organizations, governments is trying to write out diversity, equity, inclusion, which is going to hurt a lot of people of color and etc. And yeah, I'm saying it on TV. I don't have a problem with my show.
We say the truth over here.
How? What are your thoughts as a young student graduating, getting ready to go to medical school? How you think this is going to hurt diversity in the medical fields, being able to get an equal chance, or being able to understand what this means? We got 2 minutes left before the break. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll say a short thing and then we can kind of continue this thread after the break. But I think it depends on the goal ultimately. For me, yes, diversity in the building, whether it's a science laboratory or it's a hospital, having a diverse set of people in the building is good. But for me, I'm more interested in diversity of outcome. And what that means, I'll have to explain after the break because I can't do it in 2 minutes. But ultimately, I think as we move forward, we have to figure out a better way to incorporate diversity into these important spaces. And
Why don't we just hold that thought and
yeah,
just pick it? Because I want it to be an entirety where
yes, let's do it.
no one is missing a point.
Let's do it.
Because so we're gonna take a station break. Come back. I'm loving this young man. I'm loving this young man. You know what? I got to get this. When he pick his school, he's coming back on my show again, and he's gonna tell you all why and what his plans are. Oh, am I putting you on the spot, Kevin? I'm sorry,
Oh no, you good. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. It's all good.
but we're gonna talk about all these things. But I want him to hold his point because it's so important to be able to get his views and his thoughts entirety without having to break when people have a lapse in memory. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching this on. I promise you, We'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Hey, I'm so drawn to you. I'm so drawn to you. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I am thoroughly enjoying my discussion with future Dr. Kevin Brown, scientist. I mean, all types of stuff. I mean, I am thoroughly, and Dr. Rachel McLaughlin, I know that you're still watching. Thank you so much. Yes, you said, JC, you got to have this guy on, and you would know why when he come on. So I commend you, my friend. I commend you, Dr.
Thank you.
Reed. I tell you what, one thing that we just did, we just went over 46,000 subscribers on YouTube alone. And we got 55 other platforms. And we just went over 1 million views for this show that he and I are on. He don't even know it. He don't even know he's in 171 countries right now. And they get an opportunity to understand that you got talented, bright visionaries out there, but you also got people that care and that want to do things. And I encourage whichever country, wherever you're at, whether you're in the United States, you have to have the right mindset, like what Kevin has. And you have to believe in your dreams. Even though naysayers and people want to tell you can't do it, you can do anything you set your mind to. You just have to have that can-do attitude and plus you can't do unless you want to. You can't do unless you want
Right. That's right.
to. Kevin, I am so proud, again, of what you're doing. And I want to pick it up. We probably got about 6 minutes left in the show. but I want you to pick it up and explain where we was going with the last topic, where I had to cut you off. Can you pick it back up?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that I saw over the break made me think of this, and so um, I'm going to fumble my way through this thought because I think it's rather important. But we were talking about diversity earlier, right? And we're talking about the integration of diverse populations into places like or institutions like medicine and science. And I think on the front end, this is good, right? But the way I think we're doing it might not be the most efficient or the best way. And I want to go back in history a little bit. I'm sure you're aware of Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, right? Yeah, I'm sure you're well aware. Well,
absolutely.
Some quick history. I was particularly interested in Booker T. Washington because he was one of the first African American intellects to navigate the waters of figuring out how to integrate newly freed African Americans into the post-emancipation society, right? And what he did was he kind of said, and this is very watered down and this is very summarized, but he basically said, you know what, we don't necessarily need civil equality. We don't necessarily need political power or access to healthcare. This was in his Atlanta Compromise, one of the most famous speeches that he gave. But he said, we just want access to industrial wealth and opportunity. And W.E.B. Du Bois came along and he said, well, let's maybe not lower the standard for what we want entirely. Let's not lower the standard for the sake of entry, right? And I feel like today, what we're doing in medicine and in science is we're saying, okay, hey, Black and brown kids, because of the circumstances you come from, we're going to lower the bar for your entrance. We're going to grade you on a scale. And I think as a short-term proxy, that's okay because of the sake of circumstances, right? They have adverse effects on the students in the way that they are able to perform. And so grading them on a scale that's curved is understandable, but ultimately I don't think it does the job of it is a long-term. I don't think it solves the long-term problem. And what I mean by that is the source and the root of this problem is that we have places in our country and in society that are disenfranchised and that lack resources and that are impoverished, and it's these things that are causing the dip in performance of our Black and brown students in this nation. And so instead of trying to lower the standard for the sake of their entry, we should be looking at the foundation and the roots of why we have to lower the standard in the first place, right? I don't want to get into somewhere because I only had to get, a B instead of an A. I want to get in because I deserve to get in, right? And so we can understand that as an education, we can't expect the education sector to solve a societal problem. And the societal problem is that there's Black and brown children all across this nation that are experiencing things that others don't. And I think as a society, we ought to address that and not expect the education and science infrastructure to solve that problem alone. And so I say that, and I pull the history from Booker T. Washington because Du Bois said, let's not lower the standard for the sake of entry, because it creates a sense of disenfranchisement. It creates a sense of those that do get graded on a harder scale, right? It creates resentment, and it creates a sense of inferiority for those that are getting graded less than. And so
Wow.
I think from...
Yes, I totally agree with you, but we are time. I
Let's
totally
do it.
agree
We got
with
to
you
do it. That's okay.
on everything. But let me tell you something, Kip. I've been in this game a long time, right? And public office. I don't know if you know, I ran for mayor twice, all this other type of stuff.
Beautiful.
So
It's incredible.
the reason I mention that is you got the right mindset. You got the it factor. Meaning
I'm trying.
that you go and do what you have to do. I'm talking about for education, doctor, all that, etc. But also be a voice. Be a voice because your voice a reason. And I say that because that's what God done planted on my heart. Continue to grow, continue to focus, continue to be you. Don't let anybody try to change you. Continue to be you. You can communicate with me anytime. And I would love to have you back on the show. I was not joking. I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you, Dr. Rachel. So, uh, 30 seconds or less, can you give our audience a takeaway? Some takeaways. 30 seconds or less, because we time control.
Absolutely. If you're my age, the future is now. It's on you and it's on us. And if you're not my age, if you're older, please be intentional with the way that you encourage the youth, because it means a lot to us. And so, yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much. Let's communicate. You got my number, got Michelle's
Absolutely.
number. Dr. Rachel, thank you so much. So I'd like to thank Kevin for taking the time to come on the show today. Dr. Rachel, you're God sent. You already know that. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, on all the 55 different networks, and also in prime time on Sunday radio, prime time out of San Diego. KCBQ AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1, and over 19 other live platforms across the world. I always, just like I said, always dream big, think big, and be big. And our audience, love you all. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.